What's a movie you love but if someone said they hated it you would completely understand why? Waterworld, Wet, Mad Max, Dogma, asterisk, beautiful, naked, big-titted women just don't fall out of the sky, you know, asterisk. Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Tried to get my wife to watch it and she said it was so damn boring. Totally understandable because it's weird and pretty slow. But I love that movie. The music for the movie alone is just stunning. Romy and Michelle's high school reunion. I think it's hilarious but some might find it too goofy. I suppose who could hate this movie? Without Romy and Michelle we'd never have Post-its. Jennifer's Body. It has a cult following now. It's a perfect Halloweeny popcorn movie emo. But I can totally see why it bombed initially and most people write it off for gratuitous sexy scenes and weird dialogue. One of the reasons it bombed is because the advertising team depicted it as a sexy slasher for teenage boys when it's more of a horror comedy for women. The Swedish language Girl with a Dragon Tattoo trilogy. Very faithful adaptation, but the depiction of a main character's assault is brutally realistic. I love the series because it's a story of an abused person's growth and vengeance against their abusers. Yeah, that scene is terrible to watch and I couldn't believe my eyes the first time I saw it. The entire trilogy is a great watch and I would recommend everyone to see it. Kung Fu Hustle. Because it's Kung Fu Hustle. Kung Fu Hustle is a masterpiece and I don't give one shit what anyone says. Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. I've laughed at that movie harder than any other I can remember, but if I hadn't been a few beers in and with a group of friends that are a natural laugh track, I don't know if I'd have found it as funny. I still laugh heartily when I watch it sober, about once a year, but I've found the state of mind, mood I watch things for the first time in has huge impact on how I view them on future occasions. So, Heidi-ho officer, we've had a doozy of a day. Quote, my big fat Greek wedding. Note that I'm a 36-year-old guy. Was in the military and now work as a machinist. It's a cheesy movie but I find it very sweet. Put some Windex on. Sky High. It's a silly tween movie with silly tween jokes. And I think it's funny. Oh man, I had completely forgotten about that movie. I remember liking it as a kid tween but I hadn't thought about it in years. Swiss Army Man. A truly beautiful film about friendship. But I understand how it's not to everyone's tastes. I love this movie. That shitty gun fu Christian Bale movie called Equilibrium. It's like The Matrix set in a hybrid of the dystopias from 1984, Fahrenheit 451, and Brave New World. Plus Sean Bean reads William Butler Yeats poetry before doing what Sean Bean does best. It's the most ridiculously literate sci-fi Hollywood garbage and I fucking love it. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Bogus Journey. I understand it's not everyone's cup of tea. Be excellent to each other. Old Boy, Korean movie. It is little fucked up movie. So I understand if someone doesn't like that. That movie made me WTF at the end of it. Like what did I just watch? But the fight scene in the hallway when the guy gets out of his room was pretty awesome. Grave of the Fireflies. Some people can't handle that level of sadness. This was going to be my answer. It's the best movie I will never watch again, despite owning it. Fantastic Mr. Fox. Gloriously animated but some may find its stop-motion art direction and mature themes unnerving. Maybe it's a Wes Anderson thing. Isle of Dogs fits as well, with all the Japanese dialogue without subs. What We Do in the Shadows. I love it. It's one of my favorites and I love the show as well. But when I showed it to my family, they hated it. I know it's a stupid sight gag joke, but his face on the cat body always makes me laugh my guts out. I love that movie. Donnie Darko. Sometimes I doubt their commitment to sparkle motion. Hot Rod. Yoo-hoo shitheads. Guests who just found a bag of fireworks in the public restroom. Would you care to light them off? The Naked Gun movies. So many great and underrated moments. Like a midget at a urinal. I was going to have to stay on my toes. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Probably not everyone's humor. Rewatched it last night and it never fails to keep me smiling. Knives. Is Scott here? Wallace. Actually, window smashes, he just left. Midsummer. I watched this movie with my boyfriend a few weeks ago and it's the only movie I've ever seen that had me saying, wow, what an aesthetically pleasing movie with such an interesting plot. I hate it. There were so many parts of that movie that made me squirm because I was so uncomfortable. All in all, I think it was really well done and it had me completely captivated the entire time. But I'll never watch it again. Napoleon Dynamite. The kind of ennui-seeped setting this movie depicts is something that many were presumably privileged enough to never have experienced firsthand. But for those of us who have, the absurd kinds of strange personalities that develop in this environment are intimately familiar to us. And it is a movie that is both validating and hilarious. I think that's a really good description. Growing up in a small town, as a nerdy kid who doesn't do drugs or drink or party, it has a kind of bland and maddening slowness to it. You want to jump out of your skin and do something. But your world is so small. The pace of the dialogue and the lingering still shots of the town with their bungalows and quiet streets and vacant schoolyards captures it perfectly. I moved away as soon as I could to get a job. But you never forget those years. Hackers hacked the planet. Cool Runnings. I love the Caribbean and for a while it was the only VHS in the house of a movie set somewhere. War Monsieur, how could anyone not love Cool Runnings? It's hilarious, heartwarming, inspiring, and heartbreaking. One of my favorite movies ever. I guess you had to grow up with Spaceballs to get a kick out of all the quotables, or maybe you're just surrounded by assholes. Signs. I can look past or make excuses for that water is the weakness deal. I like the ominous tone with some dark humor. The focus on one family instead of other alien movies. It was the first scary movie I ever watched all the way through. I was 5, because let's be real, those first shots of the aliens are terrifying, but yeah, it's a typical M. Night Shyamalan ding-dong movie, so I get it. The roof scene, the grass field scene, and the news showing the capture footage, I still think about those scenes. Joe Dirt. It's a very dumb comedy. But I love that movie so much, with or without the scooter stick, honestly. This is one of the most endearing movies of all time and I love it. Even if it's stupid AF. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I love the movie but totally understand if someone said it's terrible. It's a stoner movie and a meh one at that. That film is one of my absolute favorites. I used to smoke a lot when I first watched it. Haven't smoked in nearly 10 years now, but the humor still gets me. I'm just childish. The Crow, man, I love The Crow. It's such a product of that era and it's great. Did you know that he acted too? Yes, everyone knows that. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. This is a beauty of a movie and one of my all-time favorites. So much has been said of this movie. The writing, directing, acting by Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet. But can I just highlight Elijah Wood in this thing? His character might be the greatest romantic movie villain of all time. I'm not sure if that's a product of the writing or the performance. Probably both. But man, is it effective. I hate Patrick so much it hurts when I rewatch it. To all the boys I loved before. It's flaming garbage, but some part of my monkey brain says, yes, you like this. I watched it once a day for a week and broke up with an ex because I realized how poorly I was being treated. It's so predictable and cheesy, but that's why it's good. I loved it because it just made me feel warm inside. Sometimes you just want to watch something that'll make you feel happy. Glad it made you realize you should have been treated better. The Village. I totally get the hate. Even I only really liked the first half or 3/4. The twist is sort of meh, but I like the general idea of it. The vibe of the movie is awesome. All the quiet tension. Hook. Wonderful movie, but it is quite childish. That's what I enjoy about it, but I can see how others wouldn't like it. Rufa you.